Hello, this is Aaron Wissner. I am here on today, which is Wednesday, July the 15th, 2020 in the United States. It is tax day, which was delayed by 3 months due to the virus. And so, yes, I'm one of those people who waits to the last day trying to figure out what to do. But today, I'm going to attempt to do a 30-minute review of what's happened in the past 2 weeks news-wise, because I know a lot of people in the US and other places that first couple of weeks of July, they take some time off and then they're kind of behind on the news. And before I go too far, I would like to recommend, if you're watching on your phone or computer, that you change the speed to 1.5 or 1.75 or 2.0 speed. That usually works really well, especially if you can understand my accent okay, then try to speed it up, because I'm not going to necessarily read super quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the regular websites I normally look at to figure out what the news is. And since I haven't looked in about 2 weeks, I don't really know what's going on. And so you'll find out at the same time I do about a lot of these things. And I'll go to a couple of my favorite websites. One of them is Zero Hedge. Another one of them is the Automatic Earth. And I might take a little time just kind of like perusing through the articles to see what's in there, looking at the headlines, those sorts of things. I'd also like to direct you to the Local Future. Let's see, would it be here or over here? The Local Future website, because on the Local Future website, there's going to be a video that Nicole Foss and I did on Monday of this week, so the 13th of July. And if you look in the video descriptions, let me show you real quick so you can see, because I'm actually pretty happy with this video in particular. And so I'm going to put this right in front of me, and then I've got to switch to so you can see it first. Yeah, so I've got to close my bookmarks bar and a couple things. Yeah, so again, double speed helpful, especially getting through stuff like this. I don't want to show the bookmarks bar. I want to hide the bookmarks bar. Show the bookmarks bar. I don't know why it's not going away. But Control Shift B. Control Shift B. B. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I'm in the wrong tab. B. 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 There we go. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at the news, and perhaps you already know what the news is. And if there's some things that I am missing, then please let me know, because I am certain that there's things that I will have missed, and that's just the way it is, you know. So go ahead and put those in the comments. If you like this video at any point, please, you know, put that in the comments as well. All right, so getting set up. I want you to have full screen, so I'm setting it for full screen. All right, so let's see. I'm going to show you my screen, and there we go. Nice blank screen, and I have a timer going. I got to start my timer, 30-minute timer. I'm going to put that over here. Okay, good. So on YouTube, let's take a look. On YouTube, if you go YouTube, and then you click in Local Future, type that in, Local Future, and then you click on Local Future, that one. There's a couple of them, so click on that one. And then on videos, you'll see the video with me and Nicole, and that's this one right here. It says it's got 247 views as of this moment. And if you look in the description, Nicole joins at 14 minutes and 19 seconds. And then what I did is I spent like 3 hours yesterday making all of these little links. And if you click right here at 1:14, there's the news update. So I'm just going to quickly review what Nicole and I talked about. So first of all, in the United States, cases of the coronavirus are increasing, the hospitalizations are increasing, the deaths are not yet increasing, but the deaths are leading following indicator. So the death number, if it's going to creep up, it's going to not creep up instantly, but it'll be a week or two, especially if people are going on the ventilators. One of the things we've learned about the ventilators is that ventilating everybody is not a great idea. Some people can do okay without the ventilators. They can have other medical interventions, and putting someone on a ventilator is like the very last thing that should be done. So, of course, if you know somebody who is in that situation, listen to your physician, and because they're going to have the most up-to-date information. When will school start? That's a great question. In New Zealand, Nicole and I talked about school was continuing already. So some places, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, I suspect school is continuing. But then in the United States, school doesn't typically start until the second week of August, third or fourth week of August, or even the first week of September. In my school district, the offer is, well, you can either be, let me make that bigger for you. You can either be attending school right along with everybody else, or you can do it from home. So let's see, when will borders open? One thing we learned yesterday was the border between Canada and the US, instead of opening on July the 21st, is going to open on August the 21st. So for all those families and people that are separated, all the people who enjoy visiting the US from Canada, or Canada from the US, or just visiting or Mexico as well, going between Mexico and US, or Mexico and Canada, those borders are going to continue to be closed. Although there are some exceptions. The last I remember, it was possible to fly from Canada to the US, but then I can't remember if you couldn't fly back or something. So there's something different about flying, and you'd have to look into that if you're really curious. Issues with the virus and vaccine. Nicole said that there is the virus seems to have different strains, or the antibodies aren't really, people are getting it a second time. The antibodies aren't seeming to do a lot. Trump and Biden race in the US for the presidential election. Of course, a lot of dirty politics, a lot of corruption going on there. But another thing that's going on is that apparently Biden is up in the polls at the moment, and it looks like if the election were held today and people were to vote the way they were in the polls, that Biden would win. Nicole also talked about how the Democratic Party in the US is actually center right. So my right is this way. So center right party. And so there's not really a left-wing party in the US, not for real, not a real left-wing party. I mean, there are third parties, but in the US, since almost everything is just based on the two-party system, the last time a third party has won an election is, over 100 years ago. So as far as the presidential election, I mean, there are a few representatives that, and a senator or two who have been not part of the main parties. Nicole mentioned an eviction crisis and a food shortage crisis that might be coming up in the fall. So that was a concern. Also, apparently, Donald Trump, he commuted the sentence of a man named Roger Stone, who had done some illegal things, violated federal law, and apparently the president, Donald, had commuted his sentence. And there are a number of people who are opposed to corruption, including Justin Amash, Walsh, Tom Nichols, Rick Wilson, George Conway, and others. Let's see, socialized medicine and healthcare. We talked about how expensive it is in the US. For example, for my family of four, even though I have insurance through my retiree pension plan through the state of Michigan, it's still costing somewhere around $8,000 to $10,000 out of my pocket to cover everybody's medical expenses. So, it's not cheap here. Let's see. Russia paying bounties to the Taliban for dead American soldiers in Afghanistan. If you look on Wikipedia, there's an article about that. And of course, Wikipedia links to other articles. So that's a good place to start. So that was kind of the news roundup for there. So now I think I'm going to go to Zero Hedge and just see what's up today. Zero Hedge, I think, is kind of a really very, very capitalist website, but a lot of times it'll have interesting stuff in there. And so what I usually look at is I look at the post that's at the top. And so here, Never Trump Project Lincoln, Never Trump, co-founder paid by Russian government. So, whether that's true or not, who knows, but we can see that this is getting a lot of views. It doesn't have a lot of comments yet. So let's scroll down and just read through a few of these. Destroying the myth of cash on the sidelines. New Florida cases slow as caseload tops 300,000. live updates. So Zero Hedge has like a live update page. And since that's for today, and I'm trying to do a 2-week one, I'm not going to go into that. 7 ships on fire at southern Iran port in another mystery disaster, mystery in quotes. The latest China sanctions, Pompeo says U.S. will impose visa restrictions on Hawaii executives. That's the phone company. West Texas intermediate oil prices rebounds on big crude draw, continued demand rebound. Well, yeah, people are using a lot of gasoline in the U.S. I don't know how much. And Nicole and I, again, talked about that. So I reference you back to that video because I spent the 3 hours putting all those little links in. I really recommend you go take a look at that. Walmart will require all customers to wear masks starting July 20. Well, in Michigan, everybody has to wear masks starting yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, anytime they're indoor or a place of business. And if they don't, then the business can be fined $500 or $1,000 per instance. Also, Michigan residents have been asked to wear masks when they're in outdoor places where people are in close proximity to each other. If there's a possibility of people being closer than 6 feet, basically. So and this is not the only state that has had new restrictions. Apparently, Atlanta has had new restrictions put in place, and so we could talk about that a little bit as well. It doesn't sound quite as interesting to me. The thing that interests me the most is, hey, what's going to happen as far as food and evictions and stuff like that. Let's see. Bank of Canada keeps rates unchanged, sees GDP returning to normal by 2022. Not the Onion, $275 billion Tesla shutting down Fremont for upgrades, including another tent. Rabobank, and this Rabobank is on Zero Hedge quite a bit. We now have a US dollar weapon countdown underway. So there's a lot of these headlines. Nothing at the moment is jumping out. But again, you should look at how many views did it have and how many comments did it have. So I wish there's a way in Zero Hedge to just sort by views and comments. That would be pretty cool, but I don't see that in here. There is a RSS feed for people who get feeds. I'm going to just switch to the Automatic Earth. The Automatic Earth, Raul runs that. Nicole Foss used to be part of that. And so let's just read a few of the headlines from today, July 15th. Study sees harmful effect of coronavirus antibodies in the ICU. U.S. base on Japan's Okinawa confirms 36 more cases. Jaw-dropping global crash in children being born. That's interesting. You would think there are more people. Well, I guess, yeah. If people were making babies during coronavirus time, that would not show up yet. So that would have been from 2011. Impacts from 2011. Twitter is edited in New York Times. Eric Weinstein takes flamethrower to New York Times. Yeah, I don't know if in 20 minutes I'm going to be able to summarize a whole month. So let's see what else we can look at. How about, I don't usually open up my Facebook page, but I do have a Facebook page. And I have a couple of friends on there who are pretty good about putting articles in. And so let's see. I don't even know. I'm not going to show you my password and stuff. So let me see if I can get into that. That's a bit of a challenge because I don't even remember my password. If you're watching live, again, I suggested you put this on two times speed. I was not kidding. Not kidding. So, all right. Password. My passwords are like, they're randomly generated. There's a different password for every single account, and they are I don't know any of them. So all right, so here we go. I'll bring this over to here, go full screen. Where's my full screen? And then let's see who Marilyn usually has a lot of posts. Marilyn Johnson. And she's a friend I met 15 years ago, probably. Let's see what she's posting about. Oh, let's see. Dr. Fauci and Dr. Fauci and Mother Teresa picture. Crude oil production has already peaked in the U.S., according to a leading independent oil producer in the U.S. shale patch. Chief Executive of Parsley Energy, Matt Gallagher, said the peak production in the U.S. hit back in March. 31.1 million barrels per day on average represented shale's glory days, never to be repeated, according to the Financial Times. Shale, so this is coming from oilprice.com. Shale CEO U.S. has passed peak oil. So a couple articles on that. That's interesting because just yesterday we were talking about this with Nicole Foss. Maybe Marilyn was on the call and she looked that up afterwards. At least 43 test positive for coronavirus after Michigan house party. 66 more exposed. Yeah, so when people have house parties, I was up in Upper Michigan near Traverse City, and there was a party or something there, and they started having to talk about how many cases there were. Trump dismisses police killing outrage, saying more white people killed than blacks. President Trump dismissed outrage over police killing, saying more white people are killed than black people. Data shows African Americans, who make up a smaller portion of the population, are killed at a rate more than twice that of whites. So, you know, that's a big difference, right? So if you say there are 100 police officers killed and only 90 black people killed, well, most of the police officers are white, like 90% of them in the US, but only, say, 15 to 20% of the US population. What percent? What percent? I'll look that up here for you. What percent of the US population is black? What percent of the US population is black? It's right there. It's not an unusual question. So 12.7%. So you basically have to multiply by about 8 to get a comparable number. So I said 90, so 90 times 8 would be what, 720 compared to 100. So the rate is much higher. Okay, so let's go back to July 16th hearing, that would be tomorrow, set in New York, Trump tax case after Supreme Court ruling. I don't know what the Supreme Court ruling was. So I'm guessing the Supreme Court said that, hey, we are, you have to turn in your taxes. After years of advocacy, the House of Representatives finally cuts funding to Trump's deportation force. The movement to divest from the police calls us to hold a system of immigration enforcement accountable to. New York funeral director, pandemic has been a wave that knocks you over. A Trump timeline, golf. Clearly, Marilyn is not a fan of Trump. Well, most people in the US actually aren't, although there are a few people that are very much fans of Trump in the US. Live updates, coronavirus caseloads soar outside hotspots as states report record fatalities. Are these images of Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell real? Snopes, I am curious. Ghislaine, she's the one, that's Epstein. And Epstein was the one who was accused and basically convicted, I think, of having set up this ring where he would, yes, true picture, where he would have teenage girls come over to his house and then give him massages and then have sex with them. So not a good man. Let's see, Marilyn Johnson, Joe Biden. We have to win more. So this is the coronavirus cases. All right, so let's switch to Linda and see what Linda is sharing, because Linda also often has good posts. Watching the social worker try to de-escalate the unarmed 6'3", 280-pound buck naked psycho who is covered in his own and swinging around a metal pole. Yeah, I don't know what that one's about. Over 750 women registered to run for office, topping 2018 record. Well, that's interesting. Let's go to Twitter. I also like to look at Twitter. So the problem is, and somebody mentioned this, you know, how do you look back 2 months to see what's going on? Well, what's that one site? Reddit? I wonder if Reddit has like a 2-month list and you can rank Let's see how we're doing on time. I've got 13 minutes remaining. Let me look at Twitter also. I don't look at Twitter very often. Turn on personalized, keep less relevant ads. Tom Mays. Some of these are people I added since Nicole and I was talking. If Trump is responsible for 120,000 COVID deaths, who's responsible for 240 flu deaths when Obama was president? Well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, give me a break. Obama was president for 8 years, 8 full years, and COVID has only been around for how long? March, April, May, June, July, say 5 months. So not even half a year. So you're comparing half a year to 8 years. Yeah, so maybe I don't want to follow him anymore. Gretchen Whitmer, she's the governor of Michigan. There's a common refrain that masks don't protect you. They protect others from your germs, which is important to keep unknowing infected people from spreading. But now there's mounting evidence that masks also protect you. Mask Up Michigan. So this is kind of funny. I was looking at one of my dad's posts and he said, oh, I went to Walmart and I had my mask on and someone teased me about wearing the mask. And I said, you know, I just woke up this morning. I was not feeling well at all. I had 103, I have 102 degree temperature. And I just thought, you know, to protect you and everybody else, I would wear it, especially since I was around a lot of people yesterday and last week. But, you know, if you're not concerned, then I'm not concerned. And let me take off this mask and give you a hug. And, you know, she flees, or he flees, the other person. And he follows after, just let me give you a hug. Let me give you a hug for saying I don't have to wear my mask. And then it says, of course, this was not a real thing, although I thought it was kind of humorous. So, you know, I have a couple of kids and they are in middle school right now, and they have to wear masks when they're around their friends, even when their friends are over, and they're going to have to wear masks at school if they go to school every day, all the time, except when they're, you know, physically eating lunch. That's it. So, and I'm sure they're going to social distance in the cafeteria, physically distance each other. Let's go to Reddit and let's see. Looks like that's a video. Drone footage shows the CCP taking Muslim prisoners to forced labor camps. These are people that Reddit accepts 150 million in payment from. Source needed, let's see, 18,700 upvotes. Okay, rising, top. Okay, how do I get to top for last 2 weeks? How about top for this month? Now, Reddit is not necessarily a great place to go to find news, right? So let me see if there's, let's do classic, compact. I don't really need all the pictures. Yeah, I guess I do like that better. Rising, top. Now, where'd my little selector go? There it is. Card. Again, 2 times speed. Remember, I suggested it. Go to 2 times speed. If you appreciate that I broadcast this live, then do a thumbs up. Let's see. Not today. That doesn't interest me. This month. 345,000 likes. I've found a few funny memories during lockdown. This is from my first tour in '89 backstage in Vegas. Don't know who that is. Don't know why that's interesting. Prince Andrew says he's never met Virginia Giuffre, so here's them together with Ghislaine Maxwell. So apparently Prince Andrew has been implicated as one of these people who was having relations with teenagers set up by Ghislaine Maxwell. And I don't know where her case is right now, but she was supposed to be extradited to the US or something. America's response to the COVID-19 global pandemic all boiled down to one picture. That's kind of funny. So the picture is a guy on the airplane. He's got a red baseball cap on his head that says "Make America Great Again." He has a face mask on, but and he's got earbuds in, but the face mask, instead of covering his nose and mouth, is covering his eyes so he can sleep. The guy next to him is wearing the mask over his nose, and the two kids behind him who are waiting for their food in the tray table also have it on. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Let me see if I can zoom this up so you can see it for the people who are watching. Control plus, I think, makes it bigger. That's too big. Apologies for the advertising. I don't have a paid subscription to Reddit, obviously. Top broadcast right now. That's not relevant. Your mom gets a new boyfriend. He's a gamer. He's a guy who beat you at Halo 12 years ago. Okay, that's not. I want the news stuff. Doesn't Reddit have like a news selector? New hot. I thought there was like a news. Uplifting news, tech news, world news. There we go. So let's go to world news. And then let's see if we can do that 2-month thing again. Where was that? Was that here? Top. Today. This week. This month. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro tests positive for coronavirus. Well, that's not a surprise, is it? I mean, if you saw some of those videos of him walking around, he was walking around all around the place, and he didn't have a mask on at all. So this was upvoted by 148,000 advertisement. Merkel says the coronavirus pandemic has exposed leaders who rely on fact-denying populism. So this was 3 days ago. I wonder if that's in reference to Bolsonaro. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. Iran issues arrest warrant for Trump, asks Interpol to help. There are probably quite a few people in the US who would be excited about that. This was in Al Jazeera. So of course, Al Jazeera is owned by the Muslims out of Saudi Arabia, I believe. And again, Nicole Foss and I talked about Saudi Arabia and collusion with the US, and particularly the US administration, the presidential administration. All right, Mexico closes US border in Arizona to stop 4th of July visitors citing COVID-19. I did see that. Heartbreaking, says global experts, alarmed at signs US has given up fight to stop COVID-19. I can't imagine, quote, I can't imagine what it must be like having to go to work knowing it's unsafe, said one expert in New Zealand. It's hard to see how this ends. So my wife is still working from home, even though part of her people that work for her and the people in our company are going back to work. One of our neighbors, he has to go in because it's a manufacturing job, but there are a lot of people who are still either working or they're just wearing masks at work. Anonymous hacker target TikTok, delete this Chinese spyware now. I don't know a lot about TikTok, although I have heard about it recently. And of course, if you're even a bit younger than me, you're probably familiar with what it is. Japan auto companies triple Mexican pay rather than move to US. Well, that's interesting. Bill Gates called for COVID meds to go to people who need them, not the highest bidder. That might be in reference to something I saw about remdesivir. Is that how you say it? And remdesivir was being purchased by the US, like US had purchased a couple months worth of it, the world supply, because it was only made in Europe somewhere. Lawmakers in Canada and Scotland have pointed to the US as an example of a failed coronavirus containment. Yep. There's that one website which was about winning COVID, countries, states. Let's see if we can find that one. And coronavirus, beating coronavirus. Yeah, so this one is kind of interesting. Countries beating COVID-19. There's a lot of them. Okay, these are all green. Countries that are nearly there, a bunch of yellow ones. Countries that need to take action. Afghanistan doesn't look so bad. Albania, Algeria, Argentina, Armenia, Australia again, big spike. Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Bosnia, Brazil, Bulgaria, Cameroon. Cameroon's weird because it looks like it dropped down and then spiked up. That's probably a data error. Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ivory Coast, Croatia, Czechia. I'm not familiar with that one. Does that used to be Chechnya? I don't know. Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Greece looks like it's heading up again. Guatemala, Haiti looks like it's on its way down. Honduras, India is like going up, up, up. Indonesia, Iran, Iraq. So Indonesia and Iraq both going up, up, up. Israel, Japan, Kazakhstan looks like it had a big spike, but it's on its way up. Kenya, Kosovo, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Lebanon, Luxembourg had a spike and now it's going up again. Mexico up again, Moldova, Montenegro, Monaco, Nepal's coming down, Nigeria, North Macedonia, Oman, Pakistan, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, except Qatar's coming down. I mean, that doesn't look so bad. Romania, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Serbia, South Africa is just like going up like a rocket, like exponential. Sri Lanka, Sudan, looks like it's coming down. Sweden looks like it's coming down. Tajikistan is coming down. Turkey's coming down. UAE, United Arab Emirates, Ukraine, US went up, and then it came down slowly, and then it went up. It's going up again. Uzbekistan and Venezuela. So that's interesting. Let's go back to where we were at. After more than 30 years of Islamist rule, Sudan has outlined wide-reaching reforms, including allowing non-Muslims to drink alcohol, non-Muslims, just the non-Muslims, and scrapping the apostasy law and public flogging. Apostasy, is that preaching? I'm not sure. We will drop all the law violations, the human rights in Sudan, Justice Minister Nasruddin Abdulbari said. Let's see. Women who coughed on 2 paramedics and said, I have the virus, is jailed for 6 months. Don't do that. Ontario, new math curriculum introducing coding personal finance. My kids were doing coding today, but they're not in first grade either. They're middle school. Trump told China's president building concentration camps for millions of Uyghur Muslims was exactly the right thing to do, former advisor says. Nicole and I have talked about that more than once, I think. U.S. prosecutors invite Prince Andrew to talk to us after arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. That was 12 days ago. A judge who was said to have died of a heart attack while overseeing a corruption trial involving the president's chief of staff in the Democratic Republic of Congo actually died of stab wounds to the head. Well, that's just a little bit different, isn't it? Looks like I'm running out of time. I'm going to add 10 minutes. You don't have to stick with me if you're with me. So I'm going to reset that to 10-minute timer. I do have to go though because I've been asked to do something. So run an errand basically. Trump and Russia, Vladimir Putin spoke 5 times in just 3 weeks in an unusual amount of communication. That was 15 days ago. UK will open path to citizenship for 3 million Hong Kong citizens. That's nice. Although Hong Kong is quite a mess. China apparently is trying to take over all of Hong Kong. And so, of course, there have been rallies there for over a year. I don't know how many years about that going on. Trump pushed CIA to give intelligence to Kremlin while taking no action against Russia, arming Taliban. I want to search for food because I'm worried about this food shortage thing. World news, food. Publix buys 5 million pounds of produce to support local farmers, donates to food banks. That's pretty good advertising for anybody that goes to Publix. Portland approves 10% cap on fees that food delivery apps can charge restaurants. I can easily switch between drinking beer and pints, but wine in milliliters, weighing myself in stones, but my food in grams, and driving 3 miles to buy 30 liters of petrol, I will never understand WTF a temperature in Fahrenheit means. Okay, so if you're a Celsius person, let me simplify it for you. First, subtract 30 from the Fahrenheit temperature. So say it's 90 Fahrenheit, subtract 30, that gives you 60, and then divide it in about half. So it's about 30 Celsius. So subtract 30 and then divide it in half. It's an approximation, it's not exact, but that's you're going to be in the same ballpark at least. So then you can do the same thing with Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if you're in Celsius or Fahrenheit, so if you're Celsius. So if you're 25 Celsius, double it to 50, then add 30, it's like 80 degrees. Not exactly. I mean, the formula is actually you're supposed to subtract 32 and then multiply by either 9/5 or 5/9, depending on which way you're converting. But that's a quick way to do it. All right, so let's see. I want to go to, let's see if Zero Hedge has something about the food shortage. How would we search that? So site : Zero Hedge shortage. See what comes up. Kroger stops giving customers change as nationwide coin shortage continues. Meijer stops accepting cash as nationwide coin shortage. I meant to talk to Nicole about why there was this coin shortage. I don't know. Is the nationwide coin shortage being used to push us? Actually, we did talk about that. We talked a little bit about how the idea of getting rid of cash would allow for electronic cash, and electronic cash would allow for negative interest rates. So yes, I would suggest not spending all your coins right now, because then you'll have the coins for later. Just a thought. I normally just collect coins. When I get change, I don't spend them, I just collect them. So I have like a jar or two of coins here. Don't come get the coins. It's not that many coins. National coin shortage shines light on worthless penny. U.S. Mint ups coin production to circumvent shortage. At least 10 meat packing plants close in weeks. That's interesting. Tyson closes its largest one. Production down significantly, massive silver shortage. Okay, so I want to hear about food. So let's Zero Hedge food. Tyson food, that's too old. Sometimes Google doesn't come up with, let me see, search settings. I can change this to just the last month. That's not in search settings though, is it? Settings, search settings, languages, advanced search. I want food from Zero Hedge, not any time. I want the past month. Most relevant results. Anywhere on page, title of the page, advanced search. Weaponization of food, starvation to manufacture consent, compliance. This was from June the 16th. Food bank lines reemerge as COVID paralyzes households. Uber delivering food and my 4 seconds of fame on PBS. Google plans new food delivery service. GoFundMe campaign raises money to buy Goya products. Let's see, is there something about food shortage? I was very interested when, okay, again, at least 10 meat packing plants close this week. Rabobank, this is old, these are old. So I want it to only bring stuff up that is from the last month. Did I not put that in there? Last update, past month, maybe it, food shortage. Here's what 75 preppers learned during the lockdown. Now that's a site that I actually want to look at that one. I kind of like preppers because, you know, I'm not really a prepper. Not, you know, I haven't been out in the last few days doing stuff like that. That looks like an interesting article. I'm going to leave that one up. It's really long, so I'm not going to read it on the call. But so the title is, and let's see what the origin of this article is anyway. So the origin of this article is Daisy Luther via the Organic Prepper blog. So if you go to the Organic Prepper, here's what 75 preppers learned during the lockdown. And that's from July 10th. So that looks interesting. Those are the kinds of articles that futures surge even more on optimism ahead of payrolls, future rebound from early losses. How about just food shortage, not zero hedge though? And we go to news, Google News. Liberia, COVID-19 outbreak could cause serious food shortage. New York Post, which is not, that's not one that is really reliable. Why Cuba now faces a huge food shortage. Food scarcity is on the rise in America as economy reels. CBS News, that was 4 weeks ago though. Why can't we see past month? I guess past month's okay. 4 ingredients facing shortages amid the pandemic. In Albany, Senator Gillibrand discusses America's food shortage. That was 2 weeks ago. Food banks, pantries aid Columbus families during COVID-caused food shortages. How are concerns about COVID-19 food shortage? Is a food shortage coming? Okay, let's go. What was the other one? Evictions. So evictions. Is it still on? Yep, still on post month. Boston, Massachusetts, today, lawmakers want to extend ban on evictions. Temporary suspension of evictions in Michigan expire tonight. That's Michigan. I suppose Google knows where I'm at. So thousands of evictions loom as moratoriums set to expire this month. Arizona Mirror. Your Illinois News Radar, will the evictions ban be lifted next month? Seems that way. Listen, the eviction crisis is here just as the pandemic is. So that's in BuzzFeed. NBC Bay Area, Contra Costa County extends moratorium on evictions. Alderman advanced revised measure to give some tenants. Let's look at foreclosures and just see how that's going. Only got 4 minutes left. How banks can avoid a repeat of the 2008 foreclosure crisis from the Harvard Business Review. Troy accepting bids on foreclosures throughout July. Governor Wolf announces protections from foreclosures. Not sure which state Governor Wolf is in. Designing a foreclosure sale under the UCC during COVID. Is a foreclosure wave on the horizon? Yes. But as Nicole and I discussed, it might not be here instantly. It might be several months to up to a year out before it really becomes large. Renters, homeowners face new phase of coronavirus crisis with evictions, foreclosures looming. So that looks like a good article to read. Yahoo Finance. Home foreclosures and evictions banned through the summer in some places. Let's see what Forbes says. Where is it banned? The Federal Housing Finance Agency this week announced that it would extend its ban on foreclosures and evictions until at least the end of August. This is the second time there has been a lengthened moratorium, which it adopted in the wake of COVID-19. The move has the potential to impact millions of homeowners. The Federal Housing Finance Agency oversees government-sponsored enterprises Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as well as 11 federal home loan banks. Together, these entities provide more than $6.4 trillion in aggregate funding for U.S. mortgage markets and financial institutions. Okay, I've only got 2 minutes left. Where else could I look for good news? I suppose I could go to CNN. I mean, CNN's not my favorite, but sometimes it has interesting stuff. Virus data to be sent to Trump administration instead of CDC. That doesn't sound good. The problem with going to websites like this is you can't really search by month. I think it was actually better when I was in Google. Let's see, sort by relevance, clear all news. blogs, sorted by relevant, sorted by date. Ohioans fall behind on mortgages. There's probably better sites that I could go to, but if you have ideas for sites, put them in the comments that I should be looking for. Maybe you've got a great newsfeed way to look up like the past 2 months. I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was like every week, like on Sunday or something, someone would go through the previous month of news and just update the previous month, but do it every week. So that way, if you went on a vacation or if you had a family crisis or something, that just a minute, that you were able to like look at just that week's and you'd be caught up for the whole month. I mean, obviously you couldn't be caught up in great depth, but if it was a podcast, you might be able to listen to it. I mean, even this is being done as a podcast. So apparently I have to go. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you learned something. Even if you didn't, please go on the Local Future channel. Look at those videos, especially the ones with Nicole Foss. Those are very, very good. The one the other day that has all the links, I'm very proud of that. I mean, spent like 3 hours putting just the links in. And if you can do a thumbs up, that would be great. If you could do a subscribe, that would be great. I'm trying to get to 5,000. So have a good one and take care. Bye-bye.